Born at the Yancey County hills, the story of William Baxter Tipton. Up in the North Carolina mountains, on a little patch of ground near Burnsville, a boy was born into a house so full of Tiptons, the census taker probably needed a rest after writing down all their names. His name was William Baxter Tipton, and this is his story, at least the ones the records still whisper about him. In this episode, we're digging into the early life of William Baxter Tipton, born around 1903 in Yancey County, North Carolina. We'll trace his parents, his twin or near twin brother, the Renfro and Tipton roots behind him, and the churchyard stones that hold this family's proof when the courthouse doesn't. Up near Burnsville, Yancey County, North Carolina, sometime around 1903, a baby boy came into the world while the state wasn't paying attention. North Carolina didn't bother to write down every birth back then. A lot of mountain children slipped right past the official books. But William didn't stay invisible. By 1910, a census man climbed some rough Yancey County road, knocked on a Tipton door, and started asking questions. He wrote down a farmer named Cornelius Randolph Tipton, his wife, Etta, and a house full of children. Right there in black and white, you find a 6-year-old boy, William, son, age 6, born in North Carolina. That little one anchors him right in the place and time, a mountain boy born about 1903 in the hills around Burnsville. Now, William was not an only child. He was not even one of a few. He was one of many. His parents, Neil Randolph Tipton and Etta Renfro, were classic early 1900s Yancey County folk. Neil worked the land, Etta worked the home and the kids. There were plenty of both. Family records indicate, and churchyard stones, that they had at least 19 children over the years. 19 children. Bacchus, born around 1900, May, born in 1902, William Baxter, around 1903, Adgie, born December the 13th, 1903, Biddy and Riddy, twins, born 1905. And that's not even the whole list. Just picture that little mountain house, narrow rooms, worn floorboards, and a table that always had another chair squeezed in, and the kids piled 3 deep in a bed. 19, probably more than 3 deep. Into that noise and chaos, William grew up, one more voice, and a very crowded family hymn. One of the more interesting pieces in this puzzle is Adgie Tipton. Records tell us he was born December the 13th, 1903 in Yancey County. William's exact birth date doesn't show up in any official register that we've found. But the 1910 census lines him up, same age, same place, same parents. So you got 2 boys, nearly the same age, born in the same farmhouse, same winter, same hills. Family trees and timing suggest William and Adgie were twins. Separated not by blood, but by whatever got written down, or what didn't. You can imagine those 2 little boys running down the same dirt paths, sharing the same hand-me-down clothes, getting into the same trouble. One name is backed by a firm birth date, the other by census lines and family memory. Both belonged to Cornelius and Mary under the same Tipton roof. If you follow William's trail back through his mother, the paper starts to firm up. His mama, Mary Etta Renfro, was born in Yancey County in 1887. She was the daughter of Chris Renfro. He was born around 1856, and Annalisa, or Ann Bennett Renfro. You see the names show up in family records and on grave markers. The stones don't move. They sit there year after year in Yancey County ground, quietly confirming what the family always knew. At West Burnsville Baptist Cemetery, Marietta's tombstone names her as the wife of Cornelius. Around her you find Renfro and Tipton markers, all woven together, parents, children, cousins, and in-laws resting in the same red clay. For William, that means his roots were not just Tipton. He carried Renfro and Bennett blood too, tied directly into older families that had called those hills home for generations. On his father's side, the story gets foggier. We know Neil R. Tipton was born around 1877 in Yancey County, likely up in the Ramseytown area. By the time the records start paying attention, he's grown, he's married, and he's working as a farmer. Family tradition says Neil came from the older Tipton line in western North Carolina, probably a grandson or great-grandson of one of the early Tipton settlers in Yancey and Mitchell County. Presumably, John Tipton, Revolutionary War hero. To nail it down, you'd have to dig into the 1880 census for Yancey County, marriage registers from the late 1800s, maybe even old church books for local tax lists. Until that work's done, William's paternal grandparents stay in the strong suspicion and not the proven column. He's absolutely part of the Tipton clan, but the branch he hangs from still needs paper to match the stories. So what kind of world did William grow into? Picture early 1900s Yancey County. Steep fields hacked out of the hills, narrow wagon roads, and small farms trying to wrest a living from crooked roads. Tobacco. His father was listed as a farmer. That usually meant the whole family was too. A boy like William would have spent his days hauling water, helping with crops, looking after younger brothers and sisters, and there was a lot of them, walking to church and maybe a little school when he could. All of it anchored by three main points: home, church, and hillside. By 1910, the census gives us this snapshot. Cornelius and Mary surrounded by children, including 6-year-old William. No diary, no letters that we know of. But one census page proves that he was there, alive and counted, part of that big Yancey County farm family. In places like this, the courthouse records only tell half the story. The rest is written in stone. At West Burnsville Baptist Church Cemetery, Marietta's tombstone ties her to Cornelius and, by extension, to that whole line of Tipton children. They're not random names on random stones. They match the census, the family trees, and the memories passed down. When the state failed to record William's exact birth date, when no tidy birth certificate shows up with a clerk's neat handwriting, you still have the 1910 census. The churchyard stones naming Mary as Cornelius's wife, the family list of children: Bacchus, May, William, Adgie, Biddy, Riddy, and all the rest. That's how you build a story like this. Not from one perfect document, but from several imperfect ones, all pointing in the same direction. So here's what we can say for sure about William Baxter Tipton. He was born around 1903 Enter near Burnsville, Yancey County, North Carolina. He was the son of Neil Randolph Tipton and Mary Etta Renfro Tipton. He likely shared his birth year and maybe his birthday with a twin, Adgie. He grew up in a crowded farmhouse with at least 19 children passing through its doors. On one side, his blood runs through Christenberry Renfro and Annalisa Bennett. On the other side, it ties to the old Tipton line of western North Carolina. Even the last couple of names on that branch are still hiding in the records. His story isn't completely finished. There are gaps, missing names, and questions waiting in dusty books in the Yancey County Courthouse and old church archives. But he is not a myth. He's a real boy turned man, grounded in real records, real stones, and a real family. My family. William Baxter Tipton was my grandfather. And all the stuff that we've gone through was my research to learn about my family. And you're finding out the same time I am. So if you've got Tipton, Renfro, or Bennett in your blood, or if your people came out of those same North Carolina hills, this is the kind of work it takes to pull a name like William out of the fog. You chase the census pages, you read the old stones, you respect places that remember what the state forgot. I'm the grave historian. Thanks for walking through Yancey County with me today. If you like deep dives into real mountain families, stick around. We've got more names to find, more stories to raise back up out of the ground. Thank you.